薄いのアホ。
プリズムパワーメイクアップオーカードレディー。
Welcome to Shojo Tell, where we discuss shoujo manga and tell who's hot and who's not, talk about themes, and just generally geek out. Today, August 14th, 2021, we'll be shoujo and telling about the series An Incurable Case of Love by Maki and Enjoji, which is actually a josei series, so a mature content warning here. I'm your host, Ashley McDonald, and I'm joined by Alex Yates. Hello, Alex.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was so excited when I saw that you host a Yona of the Dawn podcast, and I was like, thank you. This is the dream that I want. I want shoujo series to have dedicated podcasts like crappy shonen series.
So do I. My favorite thing to do when I finish like a show or reading something is look up a podcast and see if anybody is talking about it. And there wasn't one for Yona, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to make one.
Yeah, that's really somewhat ridiculous to me since Yona's like the hottest shoujo thing ever right now, but that's fine. Alex, do you have any other self-intro besides being the host of Yona podcast?
Yeah, that's really most of what I'm doing right now.
You're like, that is the relevant content here. Listen to the Yona podcast.
If you would, please. We're very early on, but I think we're getting better. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to be here. I reached out to you because your podcast, Shojo Tell, was the first like manga podcast that I had ever listened to because I am very new to manga. I literally just started reading it this year. And so I looked up a podcast on Maid-sama, and yours was the first one that I saw. So I listened to it.
I love Maid-sama. I'm so glad you read Maid-sama. Still one of my all-time faves. Oh my god. Yes. Okay. I love that story. Good. Pandemic getting you into manga. Welcome to the club. And now you're the first to do a Yona podcast. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right, but today we're here to not talk about Yona. We're going to do that later. We're going to talk about An Incurable Case of Love. So this first section is going to be as spoiler-free as possible in case you have not read An Incurable Case of Love and you're like, should I read that? Well, we're going to like try to figure that out for you. So, Alex, would you like to give a plot synopsis of what this manga is about?
Yes, I can try. So, main character, she is Sakura, and she sees someone passed out on the sidewalk and doesn't know what to do. And it just so happens that a doctor happens to be jogging by, and he is handsome, and he takes over, and he saves the day, and she falls madly in love with him. So she decides to rewrite her entire future for him and goes to school to become a doctor and decides that's too hard, so she becomes a nurse. And she gets stationed at his hospital, and she's so excited to see him again. And she's like, I'm in love with you. We're going to be together forever. And he takes one look at her, and he's like, what is wrong with you? Please get away from me.
A valid response.
It's absolutely valid. So Dr. Tendo is his name, and Dr. Tendo has a reputation for being incredibly kind and nurturing to his patients, but really terrible to his coworkers. So then they start this sort of vitriolic love story where she doesn't want to be in love with him anymore because he's really mean to her, but she just can't help herself, and she is kind of sunshine personified, so he finds himself sort of drawn to her despite his initial being put off of her. And then, yeah, it just sort of follows if they fall in love and their story.
Yeah, and some adult problems that they have. That's fine. Yeah.
Yep.
They never address, like, is it okay for them to be dating? All right, you know what? They never just address any of these problems. That's fine. This is a josei romance. We don't need to talk about real world problems. All right.
Yeah, this is not based in reality. I'm pretty sure like none of the doctor stuff matters either. It's fine.
What I kept getting tripped up on is that she so lovingly draws them with name tags around their neck all the time, but with the name tag tucked into their pocket. And I'm like, what's the point of having the name tag? It could be anybody. This doesn't make any sense.
I feel like that was just so they didn't have to draw more words.
It's true. She was like, you know what I'm not going to do? Draw a freaking name tag on it.
It's just so intricate. I mean, that's what I would do. It's why people put like
Ugh.
hands in pockets, right?
Yeah. She's just like, nope, I give up on this immediately. Like, not doing this. And I was like, this doesn't make sense, but that's fine. Josei romance. All right. So I wanted to start with what our level of familiarity with the series was. So you said you read it twice. We'll get more into that. But because I haven't read this before, so I only read it for this podcast. I kept being like, when you asked me to do it, I was like, Maki and Enjoji. Why do I know this name though? And then I was like, oh, okay, the person who did Happy Marriage, which I didn't read. And then I was like, oh, and the person who did SP Baby. Oh no. Gotta say, that didn't give me high bar.
I'm not familiar with SP Baby. I haven't read that one yet. What's that about? And your feelings don't seem to be very, very positive.
No, I don't quite remember like everything because it's been a couple of years, but it's only 2 volumes. It's very short. I'm pretty sure it's about a woman who like becomes some sort of bodyguard for a rich guy, and they end up falling in love. But it was just like, oh, like I can see how Enjoji is the same in An Incurable Case of Love, but like it comes off much more fun and lighthearted and just better than a 2-volume thing did. And I'm like, all right, this was fine. SP Baby, I'm like, maybe I was too harsh for it. I don't know. I'll have to revisit. But yeah, why did you pick up An Incurable Case of Love since you're like pretty new to manga? What like attracted you to it?
I actually wanted to try a josei. I had only read shoujo and watched like shoujo anime. And I mean, are there more josei anime out there other than like Nana? I'm not sure how to pronounce that one.
Nana, Princess Jellyfish comes to mind.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. So I mean, yes. So I wasn't finding anything very, very
yeah, it's like
readily.
shoujo's already like a low. Josei is probably lower, right?
Right. That's what I had encountered. So I was watching. I started reading manga really because Yona. So it only got 1 season, and I thought, yeah, I have to read the rest of it. And so then I started picking up everything else, and I just got interested in josei because I had really never encountered that genre before. And I don't remember how I found this, honestly. I probably just like Googled best series or something like that, and that was on someone's list.
You're like, tell me the josei series worth reading. That's valid.
Exactly. I mean, I'm going in completely blind. I have no idea what to look for. So obviously I'm going to look up a list. So yeah, I mean, I probably just found this trolling lists and yeah, sat down and read it very quickly and really enjoyed it. And so then I picked it for this podcast, and then I kind of panicked after I picked it because I was like, oh God, I don't have experience. What if this is terrible and everybody judges me for it?
No, I think people do like this series from what the responses that I got for like comments. They were like, this series is adorable, yay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I settled on. So I have read a little more since then. And I went back and I reread it this week to be more fresh on the plot and everything. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really funny. And it's pretty romantic considering how much sexual assault happens. Um, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really enjoyable series.
Yeah, I agree. After reading it, I was like, this isn't my usual fare. Like I love stories, but I don't usually read straight up like romances. I will admit. And this I think skews more just like romance novel fare than I would normally read. But I also really love Grey's Anatomy, and I was like, you know what? This like fulfills my little Grey's Anatomy hole in my heart. I'm like a season behind on Grey's Anatomy, which is still like I've watched far too much Grey's Anatomy, right? Like there's like 17 seasons now. It's bad.
That's honestly impressive that you're only a season behind. I think I'm on season 11, which is incredibly behind right now.
I mean, but you should probably just like stop. Honestly, like 11 seasons of Grey's Anatomy was all you really needed.
Yeah.
And
I
an
kind of
incurable
wanted
case
to
of
get to the point where like we were done with everybody but Meredith, because then at that point it's like a brand
I
new
think they're
show
rapidly
basically.
approaching that point, but I think even married, like Ellen is just like, can I leave now?
I would too. I mean, that's what, like 20 years basically? I'd be
It's a
done.
long time. Yeah, it's just like, all right, it's fine. But yeah, so an incurable case of love. Like, if you're hopelessly addicted to Grey's Anatomy like me, you should definitely read it. That's what I would say. Has the same realism problems in a lot of ways. Although I think the ways that it differs are like, yeah, the patients are much more handsy in this than on Grey's Anatomy, and like you don't get as many side characters are just not important. It's just like Sakura and Dr. Tendo show here.
That's true, but we have so many weird like love rival entrances that are introduced and then leave within like 2 chapters.
It's true. And they're all really wacky. And I'm just like, what? But that's fine. So yeah, so I would say definitely if you want like a fun, sometimes like gets you in the heart actually josei romance, and you have a fetish for doctors, like read an incurable case of love. I also love how good the title is for like what it is. I'm like, yes, this explains exactly everything you need to know about it actually. Incurable case of love, although it definitely hits different in the pandemic. But that's fine. Yeah, so that's basically the spoiler free section. If that made you want to read An Incurable Case of Love, it is available in English from Biz Media. I believe it is available both digitally and in print. I read it digitally, so come at me. Print is the only real thing, nerds. All right. Now we're going to spoil all the things. It is 7 volumes, so like not a terribly long series, but not 2 volumes like SP so a good middle series here. Yeah, so we're gonna start off. I will address the fact that when I gave the call out for questions and comments, everybody seemed to be pretty positive about it. I do think that this overall everything that we got plays into this josei not being very prevalent, especially in America thing. So we did get a question. It was from @Hoodley on Twitter. And it was, I'm not sure if you've made your opinion on this clear, but do you refer to these romance series focusing on older characters in some kind of workplace over ones that take place in high school? And I actually had a discussion about this with my partner this morning that clarified it for me. And this also is in response to Anime News Network ran an article recently about like, do shoujo and shonen like mean anything anymore, basically? To which case I was like, I somewhat agree, but also think that in practice, getting rid of them would only exacerbate the problems that we currently see, where shonen is the only thing that gets any like popularity and everything else is sideline, like even seinen for the most part. But also like josei and shoujo, they're not genres, so they're not as specifically helpful as a genre would be. And I'm like, I do think that you need the combination of either shoujo or josei plus like genre though. So like I would call this a josei romance. Josei would get to the fact that it's older characters, romance would get to its genre tropes, because they both do speak to like what kind of tropes you're going to encounter in the story. And I understand that like shoujo and josei are foreign terms, so for a new reader, that can be, if they don't know any Japanese, like that can be somewhat of a hard start. But at the same time, we have all been there at some point and learned the terms. Like I think if you're going to engage with something from a foreign culture, you have to be open to like learning new things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how do you feel about this, especially since you are new. You clearly learned shoujo and josei as terms like recently.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was that hard, but yeah, I don't think it's that hard to figure out how they break down genres. Yeah, I don't know that I have a preference for either or. I mean, I'll read anything if it sounds interesting. I tend to read more shoujo just because I feel like that's easier to find and more popular. So more people talk about it, which is how I hear about it. And I'm pretty basic, so I like to stick to what what people will recommend.
No, that's totally valid. Like, I also work in like book recommendations. Like all I do all day is make book lists, like best
Oh,
of everything. Yeah, so not manga, but just
so
regular books. And
you're the
I'm
one
like,
who's helping me. Thank you.
yes, exactly. So I'm just like, yeah, I have data that shows that like the more niche you get about it, obviously you're just gonna lose people, and like only power readers care about that stuff. Like most people are just like, I have a limited amount of time. What should I spend my time on? And they only want to read the best of the best things. So like,
Right, exactly.
that's
And
what
I
you're
felt
gonna do.
like if I was getting into this sort of area of media that I've never explored before, I want to get a sense of like what everybody knows and the basics of the genre and the like area that I'm in now to be able to, navigate it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so like I would still just call it a josei romance, honestly. And just be like, again, because that denotes the tropes.
Yeah.
I'm also basic, but I've learned that everybody likes basic things, so I'll
I
stick
mean,
with
there's
it.
a reason they're like popular and beloved, obviously.
It's true. It's true. All right, so I guess otherwise we'll start with a general character walkthrough. Again, there are only really like two important characters, and I was like, there's no point in a shipping corner for this episode because like there's only one true ship here.
Yeah.
But sure, so we've got main character Nanase Sakura. I do actually really like her. Like I'm not sure that I would try so hard to, you know, become a nurse and try to get with this guy. Like, I think, I do like that in the end, she's like, no, I wanted to be like him. Like, I wanted to help people and like be kind and all of these things too. I also did find in the beginning that it was very funny that they kept being like, you were in love with this guy for 5 years? That's so long because, like, I don't know. I had a crush on my current partner for 2 to 3 years, and I told him that like when I was finally like, "Hey, I actually really like you," and he was like, "What? Since when?" I was like, since this point," and he was like, "That's so long," and I was like, "It was difficult to navigate." Okay, shut up.
Aw.
So.
That's
So
so
that
sweet
teasing
though.
really like hit me. I was like, that's cool. Yeah, what do you like about do you like soccer?
That's fair. She's a lot, but I love her. I think she's great. I think she's like super well written as the age that she is. So to
Mm,
start out with, she's 23 and she's just out of college and she has all these like big like teenage ideals basically. And over the storyline, she sort of grows up and she gets over her teenage fascination with Dr. Tendo. Like obviously they end up together, but it's in a more adult way than her like fantasy of what he was going to be. And she also sort of grows up at work too. She kind of started, I mean, yeah, she kind of started out only wanting to be a nurse to get back together with Dr. Tendo, but in the end, she kind of becomes a really good nurse in her own right and starts like taking steps towards learning more on her own outside of him. And yeah, it's just sort of like her growing up, which I think is a really good representation of what it's like to be like early 20s, post college. Like, oh God, I'm not a kid anymore. How do I act in the real world?
yeah, I think that there were actually like in a lot of ways this manga is still very overly dramatic, and like you're like, you don't run into this many people out in the wild that just like have a medical emergency around you every year, right? Like
Every
okay,
time they go out. Yeah.
every time they go out, want to have a date, yes. But in general, like a lot of the stories, I thought like all the characters start off so yikesy to me, but then in the end, they have very like every story has a very actually like adult conclusion. Like the things that they learn, I'm like, that's valid, like stuff about their misunderstandings all come from like very real adult insecurities, or like they're navigating boundaries and like how do you report sexual harassment in the workplace, like how do you navigate these different types of relationships, like patient nurse, doctor nurse, lover nurse, but in a workplace, like all of those things are actually very complicated. And I was like, for the fluffy romance that it is, it actually gave those issues a fair amount of weight, and I was like, that's fair.
Yeah, I really liked that about it. I mean, it doesn't really get into like the nitty gritty of it all because it's so fluffy, but I do love that it was all like introduced and taken seriously. One of my favorite aspects of these series is how Dr. Tendo feels about their power dynamic imbalance, where he's older than her and also is a doctor and way more experienced. And like almost, I want to say almost every volume, he sort of brings that up in a way that he's like not super comfortable with. And he sort of likes her despite those things, which I thought was really, really nice and refreshing to read in an age gap romance where I kind of feel like, I don't know, it's a little glamorized, and the older person is always sort of like, oh, I just can't help myself, and you're so young and beautiful. And in this, Dr. Dendo's like, I don't want to date you. You're very young. You're very inexperienced. I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's both like, I respect this power dynamic that we like. I was trying to respect the boundaries of the power dynamic.
Yeah.
And yeah, he definitely he doesn't give in to the like, oh, in fact, the manga, I guess, is trying to flip it on its head, where they're like, oh, this hot older doctor is dating this young, like, not pretty nurse, right? Like, they're like, she's average. We thought you would have someone even hotter. And it's like, they have like a 10-year age gap or something, like, gosh, all right. So I guess it was trying to play with that a little bit.
That's fair. I didn't see that, but you're right. It is usually like the older person is semi unattractive, and they usually give it like the hot younger thing.
Yeah, exactly, right? But this, they're like, no, he's like so much hotter than her, and I was like, I mean, he's not, but like, okay.
Suspension of disbelief. Yes.
Yeah, y'all just like really jealous, but that's fine. That's totally cool. Yeah, and I do, he's like, I like you despite that, and I think they also, from this age gap, like, she's always like, yeah, obviously I want to learn from you, and he's like, okay, but I don't think he abuses that in any way either. Like, he never becomes like lording over her. Like, as you said, he's always concerned about it in some way. He's like, am I doing it right? I don't know.
Yeah, I also liked that. There's like, I think volume 5, maybe volume 6 is when they talk about moving in together. And he's like, I don't want you to move in with me because I don't want you to think you have to do everything for me. And I'm afraid that you will think that because she's so like obedient at work and she wants to be given tasks and wants to learn from him. And he's like, I don't want that from a partner. I want you to know that you're your own person and I'm not using you.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's also that he's like, you don't understand how to set these boundaries yet. And like your brain won't let you like accept that you don't have to take care of me, right? Like your brain doesn't, I tell you you don't need to do my laundry, but you do it anyway, which honestly is also like totally a gendered thing. Like all the struggle all the time in my relationships between like, hey, can you clean the bathroom, and the men folk being like, but it's not dirty enough to clean yet. I'm like, yes it is. You should not want to clean it only when it is excessively dirty.
Yeah.
So the struggle's real, and I do really like that. Yeah, like Dr. Tendo is just like he's not good at articulating them until pressured to articulate them, but I appreciate where his headspace is at when you can finally enter into it.
Yeah.
Okay, but on talking about Dr. Tendo, I feel like I did have trouble reading the manga. The first 2 volumes, he's like very pushy, like trying to get her to learn not necessarily romance things, but to learn how to do her job and how to navigate work issues, because truly there's always work issues, like and navigating them is difficult. And like I feel like once it leaned more into the romance, I was like, wait, who is this? The same guy? Like I had a couple chapters where I was like, I don't feel the connection. I feel like something in his character got lost, but that's okay. It like smoothed out eventually.
That's interesting, because I didn't feel that way at all. I felt like he had a really good character progression. He never got too like sappy, and he was always sort of like, even to the end, he was sort of aloof and kind of held himself back. And just like through the story, he gets a little more open, I guess, with her. But yeah, I feel like there's I read a lot of romance, and I feel like there is a lot of, or it's pretty common where you have 2 characters who hate each other or don't get along or something, and then the second they like kiss, everything changes, and they're suddenly just like super open and like communicative and in love and all that. And it's a hard balance to walk between like, we're getting closer, but also this is still the same person. And I think that this does this better than a lot of things that I've seen. But nice. Just because it does it better than a lot of things that I've seen doesn't mean it does it well. So maybe I'm coming at it from like rose-colored glasses, where I'm like, okay, this didn't completely suck. It's the best thing I've ever read.
No, I think it's fair to be like, yeah, it does it a lot better. I do like seeing him go from super tsundere to being like, oh, nope, you're trapped. You're just dere for Sakura now. You can't help it. Oh, that's okay, Dr. Tendo. It's okay. They're there, like, they're there, my friendo. So I guess we should talk about some of the side characters. And first of whom I wrote down is Kisuki, who is a fellow doctor of Dr. Tendo. Like they went to school together, and I'm just like, she definitely had a different storyline for this guy going in, and then he just got no story, and I was like, what? Like,
yep.
What happened here? So he's introduced, and you're like, oh, okay, he's super gonna be like a love rival to Dr. Tendo, or like he has dirt on Dr. Tendo that he's gonna reveal, and it's gonna be horrible. And like neither of those things happen. He just ends up being like, well, I did know things about Dr. Tendo, but they were sad. And like he's a sad man. And
yeah,
now me and Sakura are just like good buddies who bake cakes.
Right. He turns into this weird older brother.
Yeah.
I do have to wonder how much of the sad Tendo backstory was actually planned before she started this.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does, I mean, like, I guess you can kind of see it in, like, one specific moment. But other than that, yeah, it feels like she had a different story planned, and then it was like, ooh, actually, Dr. Tendo's kind of a jerk. I need to make something that humanizes him a little more. Let's give him a girlfriend that died, and that's why he's so...
I need to lean into the Grey's Anatomy more.
Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah, and I don't know. I was just like, Kisuki definitely was introduced as yet another creepy man in the beginning, and then he's super not. And I was like, no, this is maybe that's where my disconnect with Dr. Tendo comes from. Like, literally every other character flips face too very fast, and I think I just like started lumping him in there.
Yeah, that's fair. Kisugi is like the worst offender of this. Like, he makes no sense to me.
I'm just like, why are you here, bro? Like,
exactly, why are you even here?
What's going on?
But I do kind of appreciate that he didn't overstay his welcome. Like, he'll pop up occasionally, and he's really only there as like a device to let Sakura and Tendo know each other better towards the end. He like gives them information on each other, but other than that, yeah, I mean, he just sort of like he doesn't overstay his welcome like a lot of second love rivals do, where they just pop up and they stay there forever, and you're like, oh my god, it's like clearly not you. Please stop giving me time.
It's not you. Get out of here. Yeah, no, he just becomes a bit of a joke. Like, he knows he's a joke at the end, so that's
yeah.
He's like, I just do everything now to piss off Dr. Tendo because he can't help it, and it's funny, you know?
Which is fair.
It is fair. Good for him. Like, yeah, he just touches Sakura just to like piss off Dr. Tendo. Yeah, so I guess we should touch on more this tragic backstory of Dr. Tendo.
Yeah, the tragedy.
And the tragedy and the Wakabayashi sisters. So he had a girlfriend who was also, she was a doctor. She was also becoming a doctor. She wasn't a nurse. Whatever. She worked with him.
Yeah, I think she was a doctor that decided to change her path to nurse because she knew she was dying and wanted something a little like more attainable, which is really tragic.
Right. So you know, like, he falls in love with her. But yeah, she's dying, and it's a similar thing where he's like visiting her as a patient in the hospital, but they both know that her disease is not curable, and they're slowly drifting apart. But he makes a pact to like he makes a promise basically to himself and to her that he will like go and do research and cure this disease someday. But when Sakura comes along, that throws a wrench into it because he was like just about to be able to go to the US to do this research as a study abroad. But now he doesn't want to do it, right? Because he has Sakura, and he's like, oh no, I don't want to leave her alone. And that becomes like the main tension point here. And of course, I think they did try to like allude to what the disease was, but it was like half blocked out. And I'm like, yes, everybody in this manga is a victim truly of unnamed killer disease. You know, like,
yes, because I zoomed in on that part. I was like, okay, what does she have? And I could not figure it out.
Yeah.
So sad.
It was like, I'm gonna pretend I know what it is, but I totally don't.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, the Grey's Anatomy is strong with this one.
Yeah. Falling for a Patient. It's a classic.
Classic. Oh my god.
And also that her twin sister just happens to show up and remind him of this girl that he loved and lost and his like unfinished promise to her. Oh, so soapy.
I know, and I'm like I'm simultaneously glad that she didn't end up being like really, like, again, she comes off so aggressive at first, and then it's like, oh, but she's actually nice, like, whatever. I'm glad she didn't end up being super dramatic and soapy, but then at the same time I'm like, okay, so again, like, really, you just came here to say that one thing to Dr. Tendo and now you're here forever, so you're like, I guess I might as well be nice. Like, all right.
Exactly. She showed up and it's just like, you have this new character and now you don't know what to do with her, and now she's just sort of stuck there. So you're like, I guess I'll draw her in the background. She's still here and she's doing her own thing and she has her own life. Like, I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, she's like, well, I did my thing, And now I'm going to be stuck here, and Dr. Tendo's not even going to be here for 3 years. So I guess I need to make friends. Let's go costume shopping. Halloween party.
Yeah, I feel like that could have been done with literally anybody else. I don't think you needed the twin to come in and remind him, like, you look exactly like her, and now it's inescapable.
Yeah, I definitely also thought we were potentially going to go the route of, like, oh, is Dr. Tendo going to fall in love with her now? And I mean, they did address that between Sakura and her, where she was like, do you guys like the same men? Is that how twins work? And she was like, no. I like opposite men, actually. And it was like, okay, thank you.
Fair. I, for a second, when she was teased in the train station, I want to say, she walks by and Tendo sort of does a double take and he's like, I thought I saw it. No, never mind. I thought we were going to get a wild storyline where she made a miraculous recovery and had faked her death.
I also was like, is she not dead? Oh boy.
Oh boy. Yeah.
We're going real hard into the romance landy tropes there. But no, see, it avoided all of those. And I was like, all right. Yeah. I respect that.
In a slightly weird way, but she does avoid a lot of annoying romance tropes.
Yeah, I was like, I respect it. It's good. Yeah, so then Dr. Tendo also has a sister who's mostly here for lulz.
Yeah.
She likes to drink a lot and she takes over. She runs their apartment building that they live in. And yeah, she's like, I don't want to take over the hospital that our parents own. I will not do this arranged marriage. Very free spirit friend character.
Yeah. She has one of my favorite like joke setups in the entire series between her and Sakura are talking about Tendo, and she asks, have you two had sex yet? And Sakura goes, you want to know that about your brother's life?
Yeah.
I just thought that was so funny. She's like so interested in his life, and both Tendo and Sakura are like, what is wrong with you?
She's like, I just need to make sure he can get it up, you know? Like, I don't know. I'm scared for him.
Which is not something a sister should be worried about for her brother, but okay.
She needs to know if she's gonna get, you know, nieces and nephews someday, you know?
But yeah, I love her. I think she's great. I love how much she drinks and is like insane about it. She's perfect.
Yeah. No, my favorite joke with her was at the end when Dr. Tendo is like, please take care of Sakura while I am in the United States of America. And Ryuko, his sister, was like, cool. Yeah, totally. I'll go drinking with her every night. And he's like, no, that is the opposite of what I meant.
like no. I'm asking you to not do that. And she's like, what? You want me to drink more? Okay.
Yeah, and he's like, no drinking. Do not. No.
Yeah, she's great.
She's a great sunshine. I feel like if her and Kisuki had more time together, it would have been like, where's that manga? Write that.
That would have been fun. Where they just mess with the people in their lives just for fun.
Yeah, like they're the comedy manga waiting to happen. That's how I feel about that.
And do we ever get to know the guy that she's marrying? I don't think she even says his name. Maybe it's him.
Oh!
That's how they're going to mess with Tendo. They're like, surprise, I married your best friend from college.
I love this fanfiction we are writing now. This is great. Fanfiction podcast now. Okay, the last two characters that we have to talk about are two of the wacky love rivals, I guess. So first is Kamijo, who is some mysterious head of a family dynasty thing, who is also has a terrible disease. Is he dying? Not dying? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know. Don't know what he has. Something fake. Definitely super fake and plot convenient. So basically, he like sees Sakura and is just like, I'm running away from all of my problems. Want to come? Let's go bowling. Let's go to the amusement park. Let's go blah, 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 blah. And she's like, can I not do this with you? And he, he's like, you could have just walked away, but you didn't. She's like, I can see that you were very sad. And I don't want you to be sad. And of course, he latches onto her, and is like, can you be my personal nurse? And like all these creepy things. Overall, I was like, I don't like you and I don't know why you're here.
Yeah, I agree. And it doesn't really do anything to like advance the plot of the story.
No.
Because you were talking earlier about how she like is young and doesn't know how to set boundaries, which is totally true. And something I didn't actually realize because she never really addresses it. She just sort of like goes through still not being able to set boundaries very well. And I think this would be a really good place to do that. Because I know like it is hard. I'm a people pleaser too, so I get where she's coming from, where it's like, I just want everybody to be happy and I don't want to do anything to make you like sad or rock the boat or anything. So I'm just going to go along with everything. And so she does it to the detriment of herself and her relationship. And he like harasses her and like tries to rape her a couple times. Like one time big, like a major moment at one point, but I think more than once. And yeah, he's just overall very controlling and creepy and not good to her. And she continues to be like, well, I just want you to be happy. Like, I know that you're sad and things can get better. And like, that's probably not how you want that storyline to end.
I feel like there was too much. The author wanted me to give too much sympathy and like forgiveness to Kamijo in relation to the things that he did. And I'm like, just because he's, like he has the worst combination of privileged things here. Like he's rich and dying, and I'm just like, no, just because he's rich and dying doesn't mean he gets to like have whatever woman he pleases in bed. Like that's not how this works. Like,
yeah, and we never really see like good sides of him, do we? I feel like it's all just like his pursuit of her, and that we're supposed to think that he's a good guy because he likes her. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I got the feeling you were supposed to just think he's a good guy because all of it is motivated from this place of self-pity, and like he's gonna like he'll never recover, and like he recognizes something that's good in the shininess of Sakura, and I'm just like, no, that's not enough for me. Definitely no.
Yeah.
Hard pass on this guy.
Hard pass. Well, at least he only shows up for like a volume and then is gone. As is true of most of them.
I was just like, this guy, I can't look at this like knockoff Tamaki Usui man right here. Like, ugh, get away. Get away.
Yes, that's exactly who he reminded me of.
Yeah.
But like a discount version.
Yeah. And I was like, no, not here for it. And last but not least, we have Nishi, which like, I'm gonna fully admit that I should have seen this coming, but I totally didn't. And when I first saw him in the manga, in volume 1 or whatever, I was like, oh, this guy seems cool. She should like him more. I hope they're like gonna be, like he's gonna be a love rival or something. And then he was totally shoved in the background for like, all 5-6 volumes. And I was like, why did we bother introducing Nice Guy Nishi in pediatrics? Like, he was good looking. What's up? I want to know more about only male nurse Nice Guy Nishi over there, playing with children. He's a good guy. No. He takes a hard turn too. He gets all creepy and is like, when Dr. Tendo is leaving, he starts trying to become Sakura's best friend and like make moves on her. And obviously Dr. Tendo is like, you should not be hanging out with other men while I am gone like this. Like, you're giving him bad signals. And she was like, all right. I'm gonna try to set a boundary. Like,
just one.
just this one time. I'm gonna see how this goes. Right. And so she goes and is like, no, Nishi, I don't think that we should go to the conference that we're gonna go to get together. And then he just starts freaking out, like, oh my gosh, what are you doing, Nishi? And I was like, no, Nice Guy Nishi, are you not a nice guy? What is this? Like, you work with children. And then we find out that he doesn't like Sakura. He's like, no, I love Dr. Tendo. And I'm like, damn it. I should have known the only male nurse cast to be gay. Like, why the gender and sexuality? Come on, Ashley. How many stories must you read before you get the gender beaten into you?
I didn't put that together. Yeah, that's probably not great. I was just really excited that they finally had a love rival that was not into Sakura and was into Tendo, because I feel like that didn't
It's
happen.
true. They keep going on about how she's not hot and he's super hot, and I'm like, and yet nobody's trying to get in his pants from what I can see.
Exactly.
So.
I want to see that. And we got it, sort of.
And there's
but in
Nishi.
a really...
He's like, I want you, bro. And Dr. Tendo's like, I'm flattered by your attentions, but I do not like men.
I do. It was very weird and abrupt, but also very funny to think back on, that Nishi was just like, yeah, I accepted that. All right, bye. And like never hear from him again.
Yeah, and then he's gone. He's gone again. He goes back, and you're like, what? The plotting of this manga is so wacky.
It is wacky. It's a fun ride, though.
It was fun. I was definitely like cracking up at the. I was like, all right. Damn it, I fell for this trick.
But I do kind of like Nishi. In the beginning, I was really sad that Sakura did not go to pediatrics, because you're right, she had a better relationship with Nishi, even if it was never going to be romantic. That's totally fine. They could be buds. And obviously she had an aptitude for it. But the reason that she picked pulmonary is because of Dr. Tendo. And I was like, no, that's my least favorite trope in romance, when somebody gives up something that they're either good at or they want to be closer to their love. Because I'm like, if it was really going to happen, or you really wanted to make it work, then it would work and you'd figure out a way to do it. Maybe that's just being too idealistic, but it's fiction though, so I can be idealistic. But I like to believe that, like, if you have a main character, you want them to get what they want, and you don't want them to have to like sacrifice their dreams for someone they love.
Yeah, it's always a tough balance in real life. Like, I think that the idea of having it all has really just wrecked us. Like, in America, we're just like, we can have everything. And it's like, we know we cannot. There are sacrifices. You do have to sacrifice things, okay? Like, you just have to make a conscious sacrifice, and not like, like something came along and murdered something for you, and it was like, this is the sacrifice. Like, no, you have to choose what to sacrifice. That's the only way this is going to work good,
Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Like, life is difficult. It just sucks. Most of the time I'm very like emo, like life sucks. Not a fan of life.
And that's the takeaway.
And that's all right. No, Tendo and Sakura are fine. I do like them in the end as a couple. I think that they are good.
Yeah, I think they're good for each other, which is important to me in a romance.
Yeah. And like, I think that they will totally figure it all out and have babies and like whatever. They'll be fine.
I mean, they're practically engaged, so yeah, I think they're good. I think they're set.
Yeah, and I think since they already live in the same apartment building that is managed by Tendo's sister, they should actually just they shouldn't move in together. Screw that. They should just keep their separate residences. And yeah, that's fine. They should totally do that. That's like, we also have this fallacy of when you become a couple, you like have the same bedroom and like all the same things. No, it's so much better when you have your own space and you're like, hey, sometimes I don't like you, and you can go into your own room. And then when you do like them, you're like, hey, I want to cuddle, like.
I think you just cracked the code on a successful marriage.
I'm like a radical person right here. I know. So like, y'all are getting my romantic tips for free right here. All right. I'm totally qualified. Yeah, the only other gender dynamic thing that we kept talking about, like loosely over this, that I kept wanting to bring up was like, yeah, Sakura just gets harassed like a lot. And I'm like, in a way, having watched so much Grey's Anatomy, I'm like, I think this is somewhat interesting, honestly, because I feel like it's a plot line that's not usually brought up in that show.
Yeah.
But in this, it's like the only thing that drives any plot. It's like, oh, she's always like, this problematic old guy over here who won't take his medicine. She's like, I have to take your blood pressure. And he just like grabs her butt and is like, I'm taking your ass pressure right now. It's like, whoa. Like, what? Slow down, manga. Like
0 to 60.
I'm pretty sure you just like hopefully report this as a definite violation to some hospital thing, like I hope patients don't have all the power here. Gosh.
So I actually really liked that storyline. I mean, I don't like how often it happens to her because poor girl really needs to start standing up for herself. But it is kind of hard to navigate. I don't know. So like, if I've never been harassed at work, thankfully. But if I was young and naive and I was like, okay, I have a boss above me who's like, just do whatever for the client. Don't ask me things. Whatever they say goes. And this guy is harassing me. And I am like a super people pleaser who like doesn't want to tell people no ever. I feel like it would be really hard to be like, okay, maybe I should just like grin and bear it and deal with it. So I got where she was coming from, even though that's not like a super feminist thing to say. I have struggled a lot in my 20s with being able to say no and stand up for myself. It's a really hard thing for me. So I like that she wasn't immediately like, no, absolutely not, get your hands off me. I like that she was like, oh, I guess I just have to deal with this. And other people got to step in and say, actually, no, you don't. That's not okay.
No, like I get where the storyline is coming from. I guess I was a bit annoyed that like, all the nurses know that he sucks and they clearly like talk to each other about that, but none of them came up with like mechanisms, and they're just like, nope, not it. Touching my nose, not it. Like,
okay, that's fair. That is annoying.
And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like these older nurses would have like some. I'm not saying that they would be correct or anything, or like actually that useful, but you would think they would have something.
Yeah, or someone would have stood up to him or gone to HR or something. I don't know if they have HR in hospitals in Japan, but they would have done something at least. I feel like that is true, and it's a little unrealistic that they would have just let the poor naive girl go get harassed for no reason.
I mean, yeah, I always do try to take some culture thing into account. Not because I think in Japan they're just like, oh, yay, like harassment. Like, obviously they're not. They're like, they like try to curb harassment on train cars in the morning by having women-only cars for different train lines during certain hours of the day. So, like, they are clearly aware, and they're like, hey, that's not cool. Like... But they've also shown in this manga, like Sakura is like, maybe I should follow Dr. Tendo to the United States. And she starts looking into like certifications she would need to practice in a different country. And I think we have very different medical systems is what I have gathered, not just from this, but from various things. So Sakura, of course, is like, oh no, that's like a lot of stuff, right? Like she's a bit intimidated by it. And yeah. So I do try to take that into account of like, I don't know how the system works in Japan. I barely know how it works in America. So like, take that with a grain of salt. I do like that this manga, on a totally different topic, Dr. Tendo has this whole chapter where he's like, Sakura has infected me like a virus, and now she's just part of my cells, and we are multiplying together. And I'm like, that definitely hits different in a pandemic. Like,
Yeah, it sure does.
I'm like, is this good? Is this no? Like,
I
all
think
right.
even Sakura says it. She's like, is this supposed to be flattering?
I know. Well, every time they flirt is like, is you guys are into this? You like talking this dirty medical talk in bed? All right, okay. It's funny. It's cute. All right. Like,
Yeah. I think
if
one
it
of the
does
other
it for you.
nurses says something like, are they okay? I mean, I guess if they're into it, it's fine.
Yeah,
And I was like, yes, that's exactly how I feel about them. Like, if they're into it, it's fine.
And they're totally into it. They're like, yes, I'm gonna disinfect you or whatever. I'm gonna treat you now. Like, okay. Really taking your work into your home there, buddies, but all right.
It's all they have.
It's all they have. It's all they have. They work too much. They're like, this is our brains now. This is great. Oh my gosh. Okay. In lieu of shipping corner, let's just generally answer the question. How did you feel about like their confession scenes, multiple scenes, their marriage proposal, overall romantic progression, and any of those things, all of those things?
I mean, I liked all of them.
Yeah.
I think they're all really fun and really sweet for their relationship, which is a little bit, imbalanced and a little meaner than I would like personally. It was fun to read about, and they were okay with it, so it's fine.
They were okay with it, yeah. I mean, I guess going back to the power imbalance thing, it is problematic that like Sakura has always been so focused on him. She doesn't have other perspectives of other relationships, which like I don't think you should ever go into a relationship. This is my personal belief. Obviously, plenty of people disagree with me, but like I would never go into a relationship being like, "Hey, this isn't serious." Like like I don't want this to be a serious thing. I'm very against that personally. So like I don't want her to like just go into a bunch of romantic relationships to gain perspective, necessarily, but like I do think that it's like so focused on this one man. Other men exist. So some of them are fine. You haven't met the other fine ones. You only meet the ones that harass you. But I swear.
Oh, that's the real reason there were so many harassers, to make Dr. Tendo look better.
Yeah, totally. Just to make him like shiny glow man, So I think that's problematic. But overall, I do really like the relationship. And I like that when he came back from America and they finally met up again, they like said, marry me together. And I was like, oh, it's cute.
Yeah, that was pretty cute.
So cute, disgusting.
Oh, speaking of disgusting, one of my favorite moments that is so incredibly cheesy is right before he's about to leave for America, and she's trying to not show that she's sad about it because she wants him to go and like pursue his dreams. And so he comes and he's like, "You're sad. Please tell me you're sad." And she's like, no, it's fine. And then he finally gets it out of her. And he's like, he made a joke about like eating her earlier. It was like a sex joke, which it didn't quite work because he did not proceed to go down on her. So I didn't get what he was getting at. But
you're like, I'm not picking up what you're putting down here.
Exactly. I'm like, there are clear things that you're promising that you're not delivering on here. But that's okay. But yeah, so then he was like, I promised I would come here and eat you up. So I want to eat everything. Like, I want to eat your sadness and your fears and your worries and stuff. And then she like finally sort of breaks down, but smiles at the same time. And she's like, okay, well, make sure to eat it all because there's a lot of it. And I thought it was just really like, it was so cheesy, but so sweet. And I'm like, oh, okay, I believe in you kids now.
I know. I do remember that moment too. And I was like, it's gross, but also I love it. Why am I like this? Throw it away.
It's what the best romance does for you. You read it and you're like, I'm disgusted with myself with how much I love this.
Exactly. You're like, I hate me. What else is new? No. No, yeah, I just love when she was like, okay, don't leave any leftovers. Also, there's a lot. Yeah, like.
Oh, yeah. That did
I was
me.
like, I love this. Yes, yes, and lean into it, girl. Lean into
Improv in bed.
Improv in bed all the time. Yes. I do have a link to this cheesy "Which Grey's Anatomy character are you?" quiz. I don't know if you actually want to take it, but I think we can.
Oh, I do want
I
to
can
take
decide if I don't want to leave it in. I'll just cut it out.
Perfect. Yes, I do want to take it. I am all
Okay.
here for quizzes.
Okay, yes. Okay, so I think that one of us should pick to be Sakura and the other one should be Tendo. So which one do you want to be?
I have aligned myself with Sakura a lot during this podcast, so I will be Sakura if that's all right.
All right, I'm going to try to put myself in the mind of Dr. Tendo right now for this illustrious BuzzFeed quiz. Which Grey's Anatomy character are you? Okay, so question 1 is, which word describes you best? There's a lot of answers, so stick with me, people. We have whiny, winner, outspoken, quiet, shiny, attractive, strong, sassy, intelligent.
Oh boy.
It's a bit difficult, actually.
I don't think, I don't know.
You're like, all right, well, I feel like Dr. Tendo is a bit of a combination of many of these, but I gotta pick one, so...
I think I'm going to go with winner from Sakura because she's the valiant one. So everybody's like, yeah, you go for things and you get them. And sure.
There's no equivalent of Dark Lord in these answers.
Would he be intelligent or attractive?
I was thinking about those. Then I was thinking about strong for like strong personality.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't back down. Like I was looking at outspoken, but like that's not it, you know? Like I think he's reticent.
True.
But just has a strong will. So I'm going to go with strong for the strong will. I'm not sure that's what it means in this context, but I get to make the rules here. So.
He's pretty strong too. He carries Sakura quite a bit in this.
Yeah, like I trust his arm muscles. Like, that's fine. Next question. What do you do at a party? Okay, this should be easy for you. So drunkenly offend people, dance a ton, tequila shots, drinking games, stay home, serve snacks, flirt, keep out gate crashers, or people watch. Okay, for Dr. Tendo, I'm going to put stay home.
Absolutely. That's the only answer.
You have a couple drinking ones, so maybe it's a bit harder for you than I thought.
Yeah, I'm torn between drunkenly offend people and flirt.
I would personally go with drunkenly offend people for Sakura, but...
Yep. Okay, done.
Done. Okay. Choose a surgical specialty. All of them at once. Orthopedic, general, trauma, dermatology, neuro, pediatric, cardio. I can't decide. Which one is closest to cardio, I guess, for Tendo?
They're both in the chest area. It's fine.
They're both in, yeah, like generally.
Yeah, let's go with cardio. That sounds great.
Like Sakura, I'd be like, you could pick pediatric if you want. You know?
Okay, I do really want to pick pediatric because I really wish that she had gone with peds.
Okay, then pick peds, yeah. Describe your love life. This should be good. Career comes first. I fall in love all the time, always unrequited. Married. I'm in love with my boss. Ha! In a relationship. Happily single. Everyone loves me. I've dated a lot. All right, well, clearly yours is I'm in love with my boss.
Yep, already picked. I mean, it depends on where we're at in the story. Like, are we viewing them from the end point? Or...
Well, yours is always the same, no matter what.
Of course. But Tendo could either be career comes first or in a relationship. Or married, depending on...
Yeah, I'm going to put married. You know what? Screw it.
They're basically married, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Choose a Disney princess. Oh no, this is going to rely on me knowing the Disney princesses. Oh, dang-a-rang. Who's the first one? Is this the...
Oh, wow. Okay, so I think that's Rapunzel.
Yeah, okay. I was like, it's the one from Tangled, right?
Yeah, but these are really stylized. So I'm not sure if that's her or Sleeping Beauty's later. Never mind. It's Tangled.
We're saying it's Rapunzel. It's Rapunzel now. Yeah, Snow White, the chick from Hercules, Pocahontas. Oh no. See, I don't know the newer ones.
From Princess and the Frog.
I didn't see Princess and the Frog yet.
Oh, you should. It's very good.
I know, I'm so bad. Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Is this Sleeping Beauty? Yeah. I totally know things. All blonde white ladies look the same to me. That's not offensive. That's punching up.
As a blonde white lady, yes.
Yeah.
We all look the same.
Mulan and Jasmine from Aladdin. Mulan from Mulan. Okay, I'm Tendo. Okay.
Yes. What Disney girl is Dr. Tendo?
Disney princess is Dr. Tendo. That's a great question. This is some next level questioning right here. Okay. Wow.
I want to say maybe
My
he's
brain is
Meg
like-
from Hercules. Just purely for the I Won't Say I'm in Love song.
Yeah, purely for like attitude reasons, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's valid. Okay, what are you gonna choose for Sakura?
Okay. Maybe Rapunzel?
Yeah, I was leaning towards Rapunzel. If it even is Rapunzel. It's Rapunzel now.
Yes. Yeah, no, I like that. I think that fits best.
Okay, we're doing it. Okay. Choose a sport. Oh, thankfully they have the sports written under. I don't have to figure this out. Okay, rugby, jogging, tennis. I don't have time. Hiking. I'm too sad to exercise. Golf. Dance classes. Wrestling. I don't have time.
No, Dr. Tendo's thing is jogging, remember? Because that's how they met.
Yeah. He well, I feel like now he doesn't have time, but fine.
Yeah, that's
I'll
true.
allow some running.
Yeah, I kind of think Sakura might be I don't have time. I don't see her ever working out.
Yeah.
I don't think that's her. And that's okay.
That's okay. She doesn't need to exercise. She's fine the way she is.
Yeah, she's young. It's fine.
What are you doing this weekend? Hitting the gym, working, baking for my friends, spa day, probably just stay home, drinking away my sorrows, catching up on reading, outdoors, spending time with my significant other, working.
Yeah. I think that's pretty safe to say. They end up at the hospital a lot.
This is going to be even worse. This is real people. I don't know these. Okay, who are you most similar to? Be honest. Okay, Jennifer Lawrence. I know that one. Is this Michael Cera? Okay. Is this Beyonce? I really don't know.
I can take over if you want me to.
I super don't know celebrities. Like, yes, this is just
Then
sad.
yes, that is Beyonce.
Yes.
And then there's Michael Freeman, Natalie Portman, Ryan Gosling. Oh my god, this is so much harder when I'm on
Ryan
on the spot.
Gosling. That's what his name is.
Yeah, good old Ryan Gosling. And then Lindsay Lohan, Robert Downey Jr., and oh my goodness, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Nyong'o something last name. She was in Us as the lead. She's a great actress, and I apologize terribly that I don't know her last name.
Yo, the only reason I know Jennifer Lawrence is because I'm so obsessed with the Hunger Games.
Oh yeah, that was your thing?
And then everybody else on here, I'm like, I know your face. Names what? Why I don't give into this cult of celebrity. But okay, Dr. Tendo. Who is Dr. Tendo? My initial leaning is Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling or maybe Beyonce, because he's this like he's this like big figure in the hospital and everybody's sort of afraid of him.
You know what? I'm gonna go for it purely for the lulz now. Let's go.
Love it. Oh gosh.
Who's Sakura though?
Sakura. Maybe not. Michael Cera, maybe?
Michael Cera and Beyonce are a couple.
Okay, now I want to read that fan fiction.
Yep, that's what we're here for. We're writing fan fiction. Yeah, I could see her being Michael Cera. She's a little ditzy, you know.
Yeah, slightly unattractive compared to everybody else around them. Sorry,
It's
Michael
true.
Cera, if you ever listen to this. I don't think you're
Sorry, Michael.
unattractive.
It's just this picture of you is much like younger than all the other people. Truly, I think is what's going on here. Okay, what do you hate most? Ignorance, rudeness, unambitious people, being broke, boredom, big crowds, liars, losing, happy people.
Okay.
I don't think in the beginning I don't think Dr. Tendo liked unambitious people. Like I think he's pretty against that.
Or ignorance is my other thought for him, because he really hates when she doesn't know things.
That's true. He gets very annoyed.
But you're right. He also doesn't like people who aren't ambitious. No, that one's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's a toss-up.
I'm gonna stick with unambitious people.
Fair.
What does Sakura hate most?
Clearly
Difficult,
not
'cause I don't feel
rudeness, because Tendo's pretty rude and she's willing to overlook it. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe unambitious people she doesn't like when he gives up his ambitions.
That's true. They're both more similar than I thought.
They work.
Okay, choose a Pokemon. Finally, something I can probably get through without stumbling. Okay. Mewtwo. Nope. Horsey. Okay, yes.
You're so brave.
Oh. Clefairy? No.
I'm so sorry. I can't help you. I don't know any Pokemon.
You don't know Pokemon?
No.
Okay. Pretty sure it's Clefairy. Wartortle, Pikachu, Snorlax, Mankey, Mr. Mime, and Metapod. Oh, so this is going to be difficult for you. Okay. Dr. Tendo is... Oh. Mewtwo.
I don't know. Going on like facial expression alone, I think maybe the top left, which I think is Mewtwo.
Yes. Exactly. Okay. Sakura is Clefairy. Top right.
Okay. I will trust you. I have no idea what that means, but sure.
Trust me. Okay. So Dr. Tendo is Christina Yang. You are an extremely driven individual who won't ever take no for an answer. You instill fear in the heart of your competition, and you will never be happy coming second. I agree. That actually does fit. Yes.
That fits really well. Yeah. Okay, so Sakura is Alex Karev. You are not afraid.
No.
I agree. It does not fit. You're not afraid to say what you think, even if it means losing friends. But deep down, you're a good person and you'll be there for your friends.
I mean, okay, when you describe Alex Karev like that, like, yeah, that actually does fit, but like, no.
But she is also afraid of speaking up, even if she loses friends. She kind of gets over it with Tendo, but everybody else, she's like, maybe don't rock the boat.
Yeah. So, like, I see the seeds of that there, and also no.
But also no.
But also hard pass on Sakura being Alex Karev. No. Okay, so we got Tendo right. That's fine. Well, everyone, thanks for listening to Shojo Tell. Comments, questions, constructive criticism, concerns. Need to tell us how much you love Sakura and Dr. Tendo? Email shoujoandtell@gmail.com or leave a comment on the episode's YouTube page. We're at Shojo and Tell on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram. Alex, where can people find you and your work on the internet?
We are the Yonapod. So I think at the Yonapod everywhere except for Tumblr, which is the Yona Podcast. And I should probably change that just to make it easier to find. But yeah, Twitter, Gmail, everything. Also, we're anywhere you can listen to podcasts. If you are a fan of Yona or you are just getting into it and you're a little intimidated by how long it is, we're going episode by episode in the anime right now, but it's generally like at most 2 chapters per episode. So also we are spoiler free if you are just starting out. We won't give anything away.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. Also, it is so long. I'm always like, I gotta get into Yona, and I'm like, but 30 volumes plus though.
It is intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. But it's worth it.
No, so I'm glad that I will come on your podcast and be forced to get into the Yona pipeline.
Yeah, and you picked a good episode. She's coming in for the last episode of the anime, if you are familiar with the anime or the series, which is a wild episode, so I'm really excited to have you on.
Nice. All right, excellent. So hype. Okay. Are you excited every time you see a new episode from us? If so, please consider leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts. This will help the podcast reach more hearts, or at least ears. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back next time for something that I have not planned yet. I am trying to plan Daytime Shooting Star, which I know some people have earnestly requested. So just know that I'm trying, but I make no promises. Stay tuned to find out what the episode really is. Until then, bye.